Hi everyone, Scott from Yunnan Sourcing here again, answering another question for our Q&A series. This question is in two parts from Ryan in Florida. He asks, what's your target demographic? Well, that's kind of hard to answer because I don't really have a target demographic so much. From the beginning, I've always kind of done things based on what kind of teas I want to offer, and what kind of teas I'm into, and kind of really dealing with customers directly and really getting a sense of what interests them. So in a sense, yeah, my target demographic is my customers and people like them. People who are into tea probably already. I mean, you don't have to be, but it certainly helps. This can be pretty intimidating to people who aren't really that into tea or don't know what they would do with that. So we try to be as kind of user friendly as possible, but I know that we're probably not, and we don't have the kind of marketing and the kind of website that would really kind of draw in new tea drinkers to our teas. I'm kind of trying to just focus on the teas themselves, and then when people are ready, if they're on that path to maybe drinking these teas, I leave little signposts along the way, little ways for them to know that we're here and that these teas are here. So that's kind of my target demographic. People like my customers, people who are into stuff, who have I would say most people that are my customers are fairly educated. They they make plans when they're buying pu'er and things like that. They're saying, especially pu'er to age, they're saying, hey, I'm buying this and I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to age it. So they're kind of looking to the future, and definitely an interesting group of people. And the ones that I have met in person over the years, I mean, every single one of them has just been delightful to spend time with and to share that connection with people. It's now I'm spending more time in the United States. I'm sometimes in Yunnan, sometimes in the U.S., and I'm really understanding the need for community among tea drinkers, and really, getting together, because otherwise you just end up drinking tea on your own, because there's just this, in China I kind of took it for granted. This is everybody, especially in Yunnan. There's not a single person in Yunnan that doesn't know what pu'er is. You can't say that about the U.S. or pretty much any other country on earth, except maybe Taiwan. Hopefully I won't get in trouble for that. But anyways, yeah, so now let's go to the second part here, and it seems to try to restart my tea drinking session here. I'm drinking the 2014 Autumn Tongtiao Gushu because I just brought back the Mao Cha sample from the same family of the 2015 Tongtiao, and I'm trying to remind myself what it tastes like. Because when you get Mao Cha that's a few days old, it can be really confusing. That it's going to become something like this. So, anyways, let's go on to the question here. Again, this is Ryan in Florida. I sometimes fall into the consumer trap of putting value on cakes that have value, equating cost with quality. The, quote, I'm not going to spend $20 on a cake because it may be garbage mentality. I know the monetary value of a product is entirely based on what people are willing to pay, and you touched on this in one of your video responses. Well, that's a really good question, and again, this is something that over and over and over again I've really battled with, because we've always had a really low markup on our cakes, and we've always had I think, a really strong price to quality relationship. And the cost of what we pay for something, and the cost that our customers pay retail for something, there's a direct connection between that. It's not, oh, you can't find this cake on Taobao, or you can't find this cake anywhere in the world, so we're gonna talk about how awesome it is and charge $100 for it, even though it only cost us $10. We just do not do that, because I have a lot of confidence in my customers' ability to smell out the bullshit. And I see a lot of other vendors. I don't want to name names. There's good ones and bad ones. There's a lot of other sellers of tea out there who seem to, they have a crazy markup. I know what the costs of the teas that they're dealing in are. I've been in China for 12 years, in Yunnan for 12 years. And I know what the teas cost, and that they're selling and what they charge for them. So you really have to be careful. You can't just assume that a $20 cake from such and such a person is going to be even remotely the same as a $20 cake from us or somebody else. You just can't use, and in China, this isn't just a Western tea vendor problem. This happens in China all the time too. Really, I think ultimately the only way to judge the quality of a tea is to drink it and to judge its quality. And to do that, you really have to have a lot of basis for comparison. Which is hard. The saying comes to mind. There's a saying in Chinese, which is to pay your tuition fees. And I think, you have to invest. You're going to end up, with some crappy teas that you paid too much for, or that you shouldn't have even gotten at all, if you're buying from a lot of different sources. It's just going to happen. I would like to think that people that purchase from us don't have an experience where they pay $20 for something and they get something completely undrinkable. In China, I've tasted all kinds of teas, and there are definitely some bargains, but there are a lot of teas out there that people just, because other people, and this comes back to Pu-erh again, because Pu-erh is branded, it's got a wrapper, and you can comparison shop online without ever having drank the tea. Of course, you still have to, weed out you still have to, account for differences in storage, maybe, and also account for the possibility that maybe one of the teas is fake. In the case of Monghai Tea Factory and some of the others, there are fakes out there. So, again, when you buy from YS, Yunnan Sourcing, I think that it's a pretty safe place to explore. But is everybody going to like every tea? Is everybody going to be like, oh, I love this tea. I paid $20 for it. I love it to death. Maybe not. That's the thing. Is that we offer a lot of variety, and there's a lot of different people out there and different tea drinkers. So, of course, I'm always really receptive to people telling me that, in fact, something sucked. And I do want to know that, because if there's a problem, I want to figure it out and make sure that that doesn't happen again in the future. So, in terms of the Yunnan, and you also ask what does price have to do with quality, specifically with the Yunnan Sourcing brand? Say it's $20. Should I expect a daily drinker, or are there any hidden gems? Well, if there were any hidden gems, then I told you they wouldn't be hidden anymore. So there are. And that's the thing, though. In the lower end price range for the Yunnan Sourcing brand Pu-erhs, I think they are solid teas in that price range. Perfect example would be the 2012 Impression, which is the Yin Yang cake, and also the 2014 Impression cake. Those are in the $20 range. Those are blended. So we use different Mao Cha. In the case of 2014 impression, we used something like 20 different Mao Cha, and in Chinese we call this Da Liang Ping Pei, which is large, large sampling blending. And I think the result is really good because what one of those teas might lack, it's made up for by the other teas, especially when you have 20-something teas. Now the 2012 Yunnan sourcing impression isn't that many. It's just a few different teas, and I think that those are good alternatives to maybe a Monghai Tea Factory tea, a 7542 or something like that. It's not the same profile. The good thing is that those impression cakes have been tested for pesticides, even the 2012, which we tested, and are EU compliant. So that's a good thing. From some of the larger tea factories, I honestly don't know because I don't really test those teas. So the other bargain maybe, what's that one called? Chen Yun Yuan Cha, which is a 2011 tea, I think is also quite cheap and good. There's the 2012 Chu Peng Jai Spring, which is a really solid tea. What else? Actually, there are tons, but in the $20 range, not so much. That's kind of getting, really, really, really inexpensive. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm just going to start blathering and on some kind of weird tangent if I don't stop. So, and I need to drink my tea. So anyways, I will try to get to the next question maybe a little bit later. Hope you all are having a great weekend and enjoy yourselves. Bye.